I'll let you tell now.
I try to hide.
That was only one time with you and me. I'm just kidding. Hey, that was only one time.
I try not to
You and me.
acknowledge that I don't.
Good evening, all. Thank you for joining us this evening. It's nice to see so many faces. Okay, let's see where we're at. Sorry, I gotta take this lifesaver out. Forgive me. I thought I could do it. I can't. If you are able, would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving along, we have item number 4, which is our adoption of the agenda. I am wondering if anyone wants to pull anything out of our consent agenda this evening. Assuming everyone has to do it. All right,
I kind of.
your agenda, yes, and your consent agenda.
Can we? There was something.
So if it's in the back of our book, that'll be part of the consent, or not part of the consent agenda, and we will be discussing that at some point. We're just looking at consent. There were a few things that I thought there might be some questions. All right, seeing none, then I will entertain a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Annie, and a second, please. Second. Thank you, Marcia. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Next, we have call to the public, and I'm going to guess that y'all want to talk about something. So we're going to, according to board policy, we do allow a time limit, or we can allow a time limit since there's so many of you. What I'm going to ask is if you guys are talking about the exact same thing, maybe get together a spokesperson or 2 or 3. We're going to allow 15 minutes for a call to the public, and each person gets a 3-minute time frame. So if what the person in front of you has spoken, has already said that you want to say again, just come up and say ditto. Or say, I'm good, I don't need to talk any longer. That will help keep things moving and keep everything fresh for all of us. All right, our first one
Do we have any
is,
more than that?
Thank you. Let's see, do we have anyone that has not filled out a form? Bring it on up. If you'll give it to Miss Massey, please. She'll record it and get it. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Our first speaker this evening is Mr. Thomas Silva. All righty.
So my name is Thomas Silva. I'm currently a senior at Chino Valley High School. And so far with Officer Noden, I've seen nothing but a positive impact from him at our school. As a student, I interact with him every single day, and he treats every single student with kindness and respect, and he's made such a great impact on my life and many others' lives. And I would not like to see him.
Thank you for your time.
All right, next we have Mr. Kevin Montero.
Hello, I'm Kevin Montero. I'm a junior at the CVUSD. And I want to talk about Officer Noden. He is what we tell the truth and what we funny. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, this is moving along. Thank you all. I'm going to presume Mr. Corbin McGuffey. You'll set us right.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Corbin McGuffey. I'm a senior at CVHS. Officer Noden, I think, has had a great impact on our school system. He doesn't not only interact with kids, but he goes to kids and sees what they need. A lot of kids, I think, trust him and speak to him about personal matters. And that's someone that I think we need at the school. It's hard to talk to someone that's not at the school and to come to them because they're not around you all the time, you know. So I think Officer Noden has made that trust very great. He's at a lot of extracurriculars, soccer, football, all the sporting games, and I think that's an amazing thing. And I think we should keep him around. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Michael, I'm gonna say it wrong, so let's just go with it. You're probably Michael, you'll tell me what your last
My name is Michael Colasano. I'm a senior here. All of us have come to support Officer Noden and keep him on staff. I have here, not just speaking for everyone in this room, but everyone out of this room, I have the signatures of 446 students, staff, and community members in support of keeping Officer Noden on as the student resource officer. None of us want to see him go. I'll leave this right here for you.
All right, now we have a Miss Lindsay Noble, Nora. Noble. Norvell. I had a lot of thoughts over.
Good afternoon. My name is Lindsay Norvell, and I'm a senior at Chino Valley High School. These last few weeks, I have heard that one of our school's greatest mentors, Officer Noden, may not be allowed back next year. And Officer Noden has been an amazing SRO for these last 2 years, but honestly, he's been much more than that to all of us. He has been an inspiration and a great mentor to all of the students at CVHS. He is one of the very few administration that students feel safe and comfortable to have a real conversation with. And not only does he put so much time and effort into the school, but also into clubs such as FFA activities, youth alive meetings, culinary events, and many, many more. Officer Noden is needed at the school, so much so that I have over 25 letters that students, teachers, and even parents have written stating why we need him to stay and the difference he's made in the school and students' lives. I have a couple of quotes from these that I would really like to read to you guys. One of them was by William Patton, and he wrote that even kids who have been in trouble at the school have a good relationship with Officer Noden. As a student at CVHS, I would like to see him back on campus next year. Another one of our students, Ava, wrote, "This decision is not just harming Noden, but it is also harming everyone that walks the ground of Chino Valley High School." Timothy Shelton wrote, "Officer Noden serves as a mentor and an approachable figure whom students can turn to for guidance, support, and safety. Isabella Kearns wrote, "When my friend is not at lunch, he will accompany me for a few minutes so I am not alone." Alexandra Gasha wrote, "In a time when school safety is more important than ever, removing someone as dedicated and effective to this campus as Officer Noden would be a major step backwards for our school and community." One of our teachers, Mr. Holder, wrote, "His approach, demeanor, and willingness to build a meaningful relationship has created a bridge between law enforcement and our youth that is increasingly rare and extremely valuable." And lastly, a parent of one of our students wrote, "When you find a police officer that can reach our kids and help them for the better, in my opinion, is a cop who is truly doing their job." As you guys can see, removing him from our school would cause a great downfall in the mental health and the overall atmosphere of Chino Valley High School. I would encourage you guys to read these letters, as most of them contain many concerns, heartfelt notes, and kids' personal testimonies as to why we need Noden. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, Miss Shaylin Stasinski.
Good evening, Chino Valley Board, students, and staff. I'm Shaylin Stasinski, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to voice my support to hopefully continue the presence of our school resource officer. While I understand personal changes are sometimes necessary, I believe it's crucial to understand the impact the decision could have on our school community. I attend Chino Valley High School, and I'm one of the 50 surviving seniors. And being in the Chino Valley School District for the last 12 years of my life has always brought me a sense of security and has always been my community. Schools should be a place where students feel safe, heard, supported every day they step on campus. The role of school resource officers is not about safety in a crisis. It's more than that. It's about building positive connections, relationships, showing you care, fostering trust, and preventing problems before they begin. A qualified SRO being a part of our community is about working with the students on campus, helping out the staff, providing us with a safe and secure learning environment in times of a safety concern. It's important to have your SRO who knows the students, understands the students, and knows the community or the culture of the community. It's a necessity. Our current SRO, Officer Noden, is not just a figure of authority. He's a mentor, a counselor, a good friend, a trusted adult. Many students feel comfortable turning to him. He's been there to resolve conflict, prevent bullying, simply being someone who understands, someone who students feel comfortable approaching in between passing periods. He's built connections with the students as well as many families the last 2 years. Noden being one of the few staff on campus to take a pause, put the students first, and show us that he actually cares for every person on campus, making sure we're heard or seen. Replacing the SRO would be meaning losing the trust that's been established, losing the relationships and the connections, losing an individual on campus who actually cares for the students, and potentially disrupting the sense of safety and stability within our school environment. I believe it's important to acknowledge the current positive impact Noden has already brought to our campus and carefully evaluate if a replacement can ideally fill his role. I ask you to consider the values and the importances of maintaining a strong, familiar presence in our schools. Before making a final decision, I encourage you to seek input from students, staff, and parents regarding their experiences with our current SRO and their thoughts on potential impact of a replacement. Chino Valley High School, you have bigger problems, and it starts with your administration. I hope I correct so.
All right, the second is a Miss Sarah, and you'll tell me your last name.
Hi, my name is Sarah Furno, and I'm a senior at this high school. I want to start with saying thank you for allowing me to speak. I'd like to say that Officer Noden is a kind, respected person, and makes the school more welcoming by his presence in the school, because he always says hi, he always says hello, he makes sure that everyone is having a great day. Even if we're not having a good day, he will still make sure that we're having a great day. He's also one of the most trusted people I know. He will always make sure that everyone in the school is most trusted, and if we're having a problem, we can always go to him. That's what I have to say. So thank you for your time. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Robert Lawson.
Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Robert Lawson. I work at Chino Rentals. I'm also a baseball coach, and I'm hiring chief at Chino Little League. So I deal with kids a lot. Thank you, Ms. Crawford, for this year. Wanted to say,
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Excuse me, would you address the board, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
sure. Wanted to say, I'm at the Little League Park every day, and I see this Officer Nolan come up. He has a daughter on the team. I see these kids racing up to talk to this man. This man's more than a police officer. He's a mentor, okay? These kids come up, and I know a lot of these kids. A lot of these kids have problems. They confront him, they talk to him. He's a very good man. Most police officers blow people off because they think they're above God, okay? That's my personal opinion, okay? But this officer takes the time and he talks to him. These kids respect him, they shake his hand and all that. You don't see that, okay? I'm really confused why Chino's even talking about this tonight. This is craziness, okay? This man's a mentor. And we're talking to him about even possibly get rid of him. It's insane in my eyes. I see this man on a daily basis and all that. My kid has some issues, okay? This officer gave him some guidance. If you guys want to see something worse, go to Safeway at 7:30 in the morning. You see all these kids get loaded up on a probation bus and get taken away to do trash. No one sees that because no one's at Safeway at 7:30 in the morning. I promise you guys, you get rid of this officer, it will be worse. You'll have 2 buses there taking care of these kids. This man does great work. Now, he may not be perfect, but who is perfect? Once again, I'm telling you, this man has done nothing wrong except for gave his heart, his commitment to kids. And if you guys can't see that, then you guys might want to check yourselves. Thank you.
We have 2 more. We have Mr. Tanner Stasinski.
Please rise. I'm Tanner Stasinski, general contractor here in the area. I went to school here, 5th generation. All my kids that went here, I love the Chino Valley School District. I used to. In the last couple of years, it started when my boy was a senior 3 years ago. It started going downhill. After these last 2 years, this is a totally different deal. I guess that's for another meeting. We'll stick to Noden at this point. I don't kick that out of here. Officer Noden's a great man. My daughter started talking about him last year, and I didn't know who the guy was. I would have known him if he pulled me over. I wouldn't have known him. I'm at the coffee shop maybe 8 months ago. First time I met the guy, I heard him talking to someone about the students at this school. And I'm listening going, that's got to be him. I go over and introduce myself. That is the nicest man I've ever met in my life. My daughter talks about him all the time. Her friends at her house talk about him. I didn't know the numbers, 400 and what? 446 signatures by kids. That's unbelievable. My daughter has every right in the world to hate this guy. She's been in trouble I don't know how many times. She goes right back to him, gives him a hug and talks to him. I don't agree with the reason she's getting in trouble. That's a totally different story. Let me know when this meeting is and I'll be back at it. This is a joke, complete joke. I get people come in my office asking me what they think about the Chino Valley School District. What should they do with their kids? I've always told them Chino's the greatest place. I wouldn't send my kids anywhere else. Right now, I'm debating to send my stepdaughter to Prescott in the next year. This is a joke. Should not even be a discussion, and this is the problem with the Chino Valley School District. They get good people, kids respect. How many kids are in the Chino Valley School District total in the high school? Anybody know?
About 800.
800, almost 3/4 of them, I think. I don't know if math teacher's in here or not. I'm horrible at math, but either way, that's a hell of a lot of damn kids that have respect for an officer. If you guys think about getting rid of him, you're done. I mean, might as well wait. It's done with the school district at this point. It's getting bad. You guys better wake up, everybody. There's a lot more problems in this district, and like my daughter has already said it once. Doesn't need to be said again. Everyone's heard it. Have a good day.
All right, Miss Angela Moody.
Hi, I apologize. Oh, my name is Angela Moody. I am a parent. I apologize. I was not totally prepared. Honestly, I just heard about this and my heart sank. I have a daughter that graduated last year. She's been in Chino lots of years, and Chino has been fantastic for her. She was president of, I think, like everything you can be, played volleyball, gave her heart to the school. She has loved Officer Noden. And I first had an opportunity to meet him when he came to her graduation party last year. And my husband and I, we sat on the porch with Officer Noden. He shared his heart for these kids. And I was blown away. Now, I had heard of Officer Noden because obviously, I think it's been said here tonight that he is loved incredibly. And And I don't even know what even brought this to the board today. But I do know that I have met a man that has heavily invested into not only my daughter, but multiple kids around campus. And I personally have been a team mom for, I don't even know, 8 years in volleyball. And I love teenagers. I love what they give back to this community. And when I find or see another person that is willing to invest into our youth, I mean, that just blows my mind, because I hear constantly on social media and everywhere else how disruptive our teens are, how, oh, they're raised wrong, or like all these crazy things about teenagers. And I think here's a man that loves them, that knows them, they are seen by him. Why in the world would we even consider not having him? Like, that just literally broke my heart. So I was literally doing yard work. I saw it. I text my daughter, and she is taking the final over at Yavapai, and she's like, oh my gosh, Mom, no way. Like, you and Dad need to go fight. It's Officer Noden. We love Officer Noden. So I am here. I apologize again for being ill-prepared, and I am amazed and blown away by how these students have come up here and fought for something that they not only believe in, but they have a personal connection to. And what more could you ask for out of your students? I mean, that's phenomenal. So again, I apologize for not being super prepared, and I'm just up here from my heart. But if there is any way to reconsider this, as a parent who has loved Chino, who has screamed at games and has loved kids on the side as well, like, please reconsider. He's a phenomenal man. He loves our kids. Thank you.
All right. Everyone have their piece? Just making sure. Not exactly sure what I can and cannot say, so when I go above my boundaries, just want to, number one, thank you all for your comments, but also I want to, as you, I'm sure, are quite aware, Officer Noden is not a school district employee. Thank you for your comments. We'll take all that into consideration, but again, he's not even our employee, so we'll move forward from here. Thank you.
Is it a grant that's paying for him?
I apologize.
It's a grant that pays his salary, is it not?
It is a grant through the school district too, but he is still a town of Chino Valley Police Department employee
Contract.
that we actually contract services with.
So who's requesting to get rid of them officially?
The school
It's
district.
a personnel issue between him and the town of Chino Valley, so.
It sounds like a more
I would be
personal
able
issue with
to-
one-on-one that they need to figure it out, get over it.
Police department said they had nothing to do with this decision.
You know what? Again, personnel issues, so we can't go into it any farther. Again, especially you students, thank you so much for your time and thank you for the effort and energy that you put into everything. And we will
Shove it
go
under the
on.
rug like
Yes,
everything
sir.
else.
You do.
But if it's a contract through you guys, who would you be the ones that are canceling the contract, or is it the police, Chino Valley Police Department?
We'll leave it to Ms. Daniels. Thank you.
So we contract for services, not for an individual. So PD can provide any individual they would like to meet the contract services. And we still have a contract for another year with the town for services.
Okay, so it's the police department that is making the choice, not the
It's
board.
their employee, so ultimately it is their choice because it's their employee.
Is there influence by the board or the school for the decision?
So there's input from the school personnel and there's input from PD. So
Okay, so if there's input from school personnel, does input of the student body and the community have anything to do with it as well? Because if the input of the board or the school has precedence in that decision, shouldn't there be precedence and input of the people that are here as
So
well?
I don't know exactly what PD's evaluation process is, or if they take into account like public constituents as part of their evaluation process. But in the school district, we don't routinely gather student input when we're evaluating our employees, but he's not our employee.
Him not being your employee, and we have contacted, parents have contacted the Chino Valley Police Department. They say it's all coming from the school district. You have the school district saying it's the police department. You have the police department saying it's this. Where's the transparency? As parents, we want to know what is, where do you draw the line?
So what I can share with you again, like President Thomas has shared, any personnel issues can't be discussed in a public meeting without asking the employee first, like there are laws in Arizona for that. And he is not our employee, so that's not something we can initiate with him. But yes, it's a joint, we work together, both agencies, with services that we share.
So how does the principal feel about him leaving?
We cannot go into personnel issues and
Would she like to
Just keep
speak?
beating around the bush.
Can we have Noden come here and speak?
Possibly at a later time. It's not on the agenda for tonight.
Of course it ain't.
Is there anyone here with discrepancies about Noden that would like to speak?
Anybody?
So again, this is the Chino Valley Unified School District Board meeting for tonight. We do have an agenda. Again, we appreciate each and every one of your time. Ma'am, if you would state your name for the record, and sir, if you'll state your name so that Miss Massey has it in our minutes.
Jessica Martin.
Yes, sir.
And Silva.
Thank you. We can look at this further, and if need be, we can put it on an agenda item for further discussion if it comes to that. So for tonight,
we've had several meetings with it.
okay, so there have been meetings with the police department. So again, thank you all for your time. You're more than welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but we are going to go ahead and move forward from this point. Again, students. All right, item number 6 is our information and discussion items. Item A. Item A is special services. Or not to forget, it is you. Oh, Rosemary, are you on? Okay, all of you. Come on up.
Am I coming now too? Am I coming now too? Or
Yep. And if we'll just take 2 seconds and we'll.
Dr. Moody, can you check the thermostat, please, and see what it reads? I don't know what it feels like in the back of the room, but it's really cold in the front of the room.
It
says 74.
You go first. What's the, okay, so we'll
Set to 72, but it is currently 74.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Rosemary Corradi. I'm your district EL program coordinator. So I'm just going to give you a brief update on our EL program here in Chino. One of the most asked questions I get is, what do we do in Chino for our second language learners? So the super short, really concise answer to that is we do follow the ADE approved pull-out SEI model. That's the really short and everything. So as far as participation counts for us, which is probably the most important thing at the moment, is in September, we started with 151 students. Currently, we are at 113 students, which is a downward trend. We've lost around 31 students. We were at 142 in January. So, and that is a trend that we see mirrored in our sister districts. But I would like to note that in the last 5 years, that has not been the trend. Each year, our numbers have increased. And so I'm happy to report that we will, as of next year, we will have 1 full-time EL teacher at each campus, which is a fabulous thing. We did just have our, by the way, the upward trend has been about 18% increase in student enrollment for the EL program and qualifying for the EL program.
English learners.
English learners. Yes. Yeah, you know, alphabet soup.
We all just get used to it, right?
Yeah, we all just get used to it. But to leave on a super excited note, so we just had our annual reassessment, meaning that this is where, you know, everything that determines, you know, numbers game, successes, failures, whatever. We saw a year of tremendous growth that I'm very, very proud of district-wide. I will have you note that the Arizona as a whole is at about 14% reclassification rate, meaning that we take a child who's learning English as a second language and we move them out of the program where they demonstrate on this yearly test proficiency in English. So statewide is about 14%, and that number is current as of last Thursday. Chino, we're at 25%. So I'm super proud. We're super proud. Thank you so much for your time.
That's awesome. Thank you. Any questions? Keep up the good work.
Oh, look at you. You're ready.
You
Guys.
just have to tell them when you want them to advance.
All right, I'll do this. Hello, Madam President, Board, everybody. Stand over the book. Oh, this is wobbly. Okay, so I'm here to.
got a lot of action.
Yeah, I know, it did. It sure did. Okay, so I'm here to talk about our special education department in Chino Valley. And I try to put a lot of thought into giving you a glimpse of our world and then sharing at the very end some really wonderful things that we do. Well, the whole thing is wonderful things, but anyway, okay. All right, so alone we can do so little, together we can do so much, Helen Keller. So the key to special education, seriously, is teamwork. It goes from our superintendent, our principals, our parapros, our transportation. We all have to work together as a team to make it happen for all of these children and all of their unique needs. And so teamwork is vital. Okay, so our team, Kristen Gomes is our administrative assistant. Christine Felton is the compliance coordinator. Next year, she's going to be the assistant director. Joe Coomer is our current special ed assistant director, and then myself, the special education director, Nicole Burdett. Okay, so we provide related services on top of education. It's physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech, orientation, mobility, vision, hearing, and we work closely with the Arizona School of the Deaf and Blind, ASDB. We also contract with Ascend, which is a private day school for students with autism. This upcoming year, we're most likely, it's like 98% sure, going to be contracting with Rise, who is based out of Cottonwood right now. They are going to be renting a building in Humboldt. And the reason we're doing this is our numbers are growing so much so for students with severe forms of autism, and our program's bursting. And I'll explain that a little further down, but Ascend is on a waiting list. So we're needing to work with another entity to try to help meet the needs of all of our kiddos. Key terms. So first I wanted to share, whenever a student is going to qualify for special education, they come with a referral. It can be from a teacher, it can be from a parent, guardian, and we, if it's deemed to be necessary, we have a lot of variables we have to consider. We conduct what's called a psychoeducational evaluation. This goes through and is very thorough and comprehensive and tells how the student learns, what their needs are. We have to follow ADE criteria and federal laws, and we review this a minimum of every 3 years to redetermine eligibility. If they do become eligible, we then develop an individualized education plan. This is completely individual to like their needs, their accommodations, their service minutes that they need, what type of program they need to be in. And then we revise this a minimum of annually, but parents can call a meeting at any time. Okay, so we have to follow 2 primary laws. There's other ones as well, but the key ones that we really consider all the time are the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, we call it IDEA, and the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. So these laws are extensive and must be adhered to in every aspect of what we do. My job is to make sure every little thing we do in this district is following these laws. And so we have all kinds of layers to make sure that that's happening. Okay, just making sure I covered everything. Okay, go ahead. Unfunded mandates. A lot of people do not understand or know that we cover private school evaluations and some of their services. So if a student is in a private school, we are responsible for paying for that evaluation, conducting the evaluation, holding the meetings, and then if they qualify for speech or occupational therapy or physical therapy, we have to then provide that service and pay for it. Then we have the Empowerment Scholarship account, which is the ESA. We also then have to provide these evaluations. And just to share with you, because ESA has grown so much now, we are getting requests constantly through the year. It has grown. I've never seen it like this for evaluations, because if the student qualifies as having a disability, then their ESA funds increase. And so we're getting a lot more requests. 504s. We also must cover 504s. They are unfunded. And just to explain what that is to you, it's more of a medically based document that provides accommodations. So if a student has diabetes and they need to go to the nurse, or they need to have certain accommodations to help them in the classroom, or they have to check their phone more often because that's where their monitor is, things like that. Or if a student has ADHD and they need frequent check-ins, they need small group instruction, often, or a preferential seating off to the side to where they can concentrate better. So we have to develop those also and follow them. Homeschool evaluations in services, same thing. We have to provide those evaluations and speech, PT, or physical therapy, OT, occupational therapy. And then also something that people don't understand or know also is that we cover the evaluations for students who were in our district and now are in residential treatment centers. So even if they are in Tucson, we then have to meet with that team. We have to go through the evaluation process. We have to go through all of that through our voucher system. So it's all considered an unfunded mandate. Child find. So child find is something we are required to do. We are required to make sure that any child 2 years, 10.5 months are screened, and that if there is a suspicion of a disability, and then if they come through AZIP, which is our Arizona Early Intervention Program, we have to have an IEP in place by the age of 3. We hold child finds. Brandy's team does an amazing job at Territorial, setting up the appointments, having speech there, the psychologist there, everyone's there to screen these children. If they fail the screening, they go right into the evaluation process. We get them rolling in special education. And it goes all the way up through 21. Okay, so part of the law that we have to follow is the least restrictive environment. We always have to consider, is the student with their non-disabled peers as much as possible? So whenever a child is in a special education class, but they're showing a lot of growth, the teacher, the parents, everyone needs to be thinking, is this where they need to be? Do they need this much support? And so that is according to the IDEA. Okay. Next one, sorry. So we have in your package, you should have the continuum of special education services. I broke it down to explain the least or the most restrictive, least restrictive, and it has little arrows for you. And then each program is explained in detail and it's color coded for you. If you're bored and you want to read about our continuum of services. But the least restrictive is obviously the general education classroom. Then there's inclusion. Inclusion is where a certified teacher goes into the general education classroom and works with special needs students in the classroom. Then we have resource. These are students who typically have an average to above average IQ, but they have a specific learning disability or other health impairment, which is usually ADHD, to where they are having difficulty learning in a larger environment. So they go into a resource room with a special education teacher in smaller groups, and they're then instructed at their level as well as grade level. Extended resource, this is the between resource and self-contained. So I'm going to jump to self-contained real quick. So self-contained is for students who have more severe learning or severe disabilities. Examples may be, they may have a brain injury. They may have lower functioning autism, Down syndrome, things like that. And then they need to be in a classroom the majority of the time with more adults in the room to support them. So we have kids that are in between. They don't need to be in self-contained. They don't need to be in resource. It's not appropriate for them. Maybe their academics are low enough to be in the self-contained classroom, but their social skills are too high. And so we have extended resource to work with those kids who are kind of in the middle to give them their little niche to help them. Then we have special schools, EDP, which I'll explain a little bit in a minute. and residential treatment centers. We have homebound and home-based, and then our most restrictive hospitals and institutions. Okay, so what we do, our philosophy is we really focus hard on using the general education curriculum, and the teachers have been told that we need to really get these kids to where the gaps in their learning are closed. So what we do is we teach them at grade level, we teach them at their ability level, and we try to close those learning gaps so that our goal is for them to not need our services as much or at all. So that is one of the key ways that we have focused on it this year. But another thing that we did this year to really try to increase our special education state testing scores is the teachers started working on test taking strategies at the beginning of the year, because a lot of kids, unless they're told those things, we just don't know it. So they did a lot of work helping those kids learn those strategies, teaching them at grade levels, so that even though let's say they're working at the second grade level, but they're in fifth grade. If we're only presenting them with second grade material, they're going to get further and further behind. And so there's concepts in the fifth grade that they're introduced to, even though they're at the second grade level, they're introduced to those concepts in the fifth grade level, so that when they take that state test, it's not completely overwhelming to them. They're like, oh, I've seen that before. I'm a little familiar with that. Or maybe they have a better guess because of it, right? And then our goal is to get them up and to keep working towards closing that gap. So what we did is HMS and Del Rio, that was those were the target schools this year. And we really worked to get everybody placed in groups of 6 students or less with a proctor. And we went through a specific script to try to encourage them to do their best. We gave them strategies to help them calm their bodies. And we proctored that test in these tiny groups in both schools for all of the levels, all the levels, the grade levels, and the ELA, math, and science. So we're hoping that helps us when we get our scores. Next, we also have an AIMS program, which is Autism Inspired Minds. That is for students who are on the end of the more severe end with autism, and they need a lot more support. So we have that program that's at Territorial right now, and we do trainings for our paraprofessionals according to the guidelines, as well as 20 additional hours of modules and specialized trainings for autism. And then they do intensive trainings with specialists who in autism. EDP trainings, that's emotionally disabled private public campus programs. Those are for kids with emotional disabilities. We teach them CPI, which is de-escalation and restraint training. And we use the Foundations for Life program, and that is the behaviorally based program that they use. And then to the good part, the really good part is the special needs rodeo. This Miles puts this on, and it's fantastic. I don't know why there's an O there, but okay. It's just a random O.
It's a rodeo O.
It must be. So that was a picture from this year. And then next, Horses with Heart. This was at Territorial. I just got these pictures off the internet because I didn't have the actual pictures of the horses, but they're tiny. They're tiny like that. And that's for the little bitties. And then we have Unified Sports. These are some pictures Jenda Ballard shared of Unified, and she and her team, they are just amazing. What blessings to this district they are for all that they do for our kiddos. Kids love this program. And I think that's it. Questions?
Ladies? A little disappointed that wasn't the real horses this year.
Oh man, I shouldn't have said it. But they're that cute. They are that cute. I know they are.
I would like to just make a comment. You guys are amazing. What you guys do, the special education department, I think in our area is like the best.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next
Thank you.
item 6C is our superintendent's report, Ms. Daniels.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's my spot here. So this is celebration month. in the school district where we get to celebrate all the amazing things that have been happening. One of the things that I wanted to share with you was you'll remember that Chino Valley Education Foundation had a request from parents who are Spanish speaking, if there was a way that we could offer classes to help the parents learn how to speak English so they could better help their students. That's not something that the school district can use our public funds for, but the foundation wrote a grant and was able to provide classes all year long. We had 60 people who attended the classes. We had about 20 who were regular attendees. The kind of change in administration at the federal level created a little bit of student loss and some parent loss in those classes. But tomorrow night, Wednesday night, they're having a celebration and sort of like a little graduation ceremony. And we've had several parents request that we continue to kind of go to that next level. So we are seeking some instructors because we had community volunteers who told me, Cindy, we're just too dang old for this. So they're hoping that somebody else can step up to the plate and continue the classes because they were so popular, which was super cool. Our enrollment has held steady throughout the course of the year. You remember we started about 100 kids down because of empowerment scholarship accounts. We have pretty much maintained that level, and so we're finishing the year pretty much where we started. And as you know, we have been really hitting that whole come to school thing hard this year. And our staff, especially, I'd like to give a shout out to Assistant Principal Richardson, who's made attendance his full-time job practically, to make sure that high school kids are there. And you can see our daily attendance rate for since second semester started. And in your packet are the rates since school year started, but we have consistently held at or above 90% average daily attendance. Our only little downturn in fourth quarter, which is to be expected, is the senior class has been attending at 89%. So as the year wears on, we're not quite as interested in school our senior year. So I had left a blank in your report that said about the value of the scholarships earned by the class of 25. That's because we were waiting till we had the final numbers last week. $3.5 million is the value of scholarships earned by this year's graduating class. I think that's the second highest tally ever. I think class of 2019 is the only class that they had over 4 million. So, and then I included for you in here, and I think that Becky made you a separate packet that you probably found with your board packet, or you can remove it from here, about some data that we'll be looking at on May 29th about enrollments, like data, residential data across our 2 zip codes, and enrollment trends, and how many students there are that live in the community who either take the empowerment scholarship, are homeschooled, or who make other educational choices. So that data was provided for you so we can review that on our work session day, our strategic planning day, May 29th. And then we also have, I've included for you the results of our parent surveys that we ran recently. We're compelled to run a parent survey, and that survey was run, and you can see the results of the surveys. All of the schools had favorable results and returns from the parents. The other thing I wanted to share with you, which is kind of new and unique this year, is that we have had an increase in public records requests. So entities can make public records requests for the things that are publicly available. So it would be like financial information, qualifications of personnel who work for the district, years of experience, degrees earned, things like that. Most of our requests this year, we've had one unique request for information about hiring trends, and we responded with some questions so we could provide accurate, like the kind of data the person was looking for, and we never heard back from that person. But we have sent out requests about our financial expenditures from the last 4 to 5 years, vendor names, PO amounts, all that kind of thing. Most of those requests are being generated by companies who are AI. And so they have every right to request it. We've been responding big kudos to John and his crew because it took them many, many hours to put all the information in a format that was requested and would be usable. And what we know is AI companies will use that data, cull it, and then sell it to vendors to try to get us to purchase things that are consistent with our purchasing patterns. So none of the financial requests for purchasing records have come from in-state. They've all come from companies on the Eastern Seaboard or in Florida. So we know that it's more marketing oriented than anything. We've had one local resident who typically requests every year a copy of our budget and our AFR and all the backup documentation. And even though it's available on our website and the Auditor General's website, John was very kind and sent her 120 pages of our information. So I wanted to, John's going to talk a little bit about our SFB projects, just a little. But the one thing I'd like to address is the end of useful life that we've talked about off and on since the School Facilities Board determined that 10 classrooms at the high school had reached the end of their useful life. And those classrooms, when they were built, were never intended to be used as classrooms. Those spaces were originally sheds. When we had rapid growth in the late 90s and early 2000s, they were converted to classrooms. Those are 10 classrooms. We cannot put air conditioning in because the roof is not designed in a way to hold the weight of an HVAC. So what we know now is we've had several meetings with School Facilities Board, and later on in your, you approved tonight in your consent agenda, the ability for us to take the next step and to gain a general contractor to do the RFP for general contractor services so we can move forward. So then that person can work on hiring architects. We can work on forming our community committee. The general, of course, will be responsible for subs and all that stuff, but to being viewed by School Facilities Board as a new construction project. And we know that the 10 classrooms will be demolished. What they're trying to figure out is, and I explained to them how we use the classrooms now, right? 2 of them are art rooms with kilns and water and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And 2 of the classrooms are for our most severe and profoundly disabled students that Nicole spoke about this evening. So they have showers, changing facilities, washer, dryer, life skills, kitchen, and those things can't be replicated very easily in a portable classroom. And those are all part of their IEPs. So what they're thinking now is that they may construct those 10 classrooms just north, which would be right this way from here, just east of where we're sitting, in the vacant space between the school building and the tennis courts. And that after the construction project is complete, then they would demolish the other classrooms. So we're kind of taking it and going at the pace that they need and want us to go. But the exciting news is, when we told them, they said, what is your timeline? And I said, I really, really want us to be able to put high school kids in those classrooms when we open our doors in August of 27 for that school year. And they're like, doable. So that's what we're holding on to. We probably will start some of these early design phases and those things between now and January, and then start on the next more intensive phases perhaps in January. So that's where we are with it. SFB pending final legislative allocation. If that all goes the way they're planning for it to, then the first $2 million of the project will show up in our account with SFB sometime right after July 1 to help us get moving. So that's where we are with that. And then we have, I gave you a little bit more detail about that regarding food service, because I know you want to be kept up to date on this. We don't have any updates. So in fact, I checked again today, no updates for the community eligibility provision. And then you also may have seen 2 weeks ago that new legislation was passed in Arizona and announced also at the federal level by RFK about the reduction in certain dyes, additives, and things like that. We're actually already 97% compliant with the change in law, so we're really far ahead. The last 3%, Sodexo is working on a plan for us for those items. So I want to also talk a little bit about, we've had complaints, understandable, totally justifiable complaints from the residents of Heidi Lane. And some of you may or may not know where Heidi Lane is. It is just west of the farm. So if you go on Center Street, like the first little road, you can come to make a left on Heidi Lane. It's actually kind of like an easement for an emergency ingress or egress to the backside of the farm, kind of by the double wide on the farm. And we've got all kinds of conflicting information from the county recorder and the county assessor's office. John has been in there making best friends with the people at the county. The town has different set of information. We have a different set of information yet. The residents want us to maintain the lane. Right now, at some point, it was chip sealed. We don't really know why. It would cost several $1 million to pave the road, which the school district doesn't have. And we can find some evidence that some residents were deeded a residential easement. So we're kind of in legal no man's land right now, and trying to figure out if it's the town's responsibility, if it's the residents' responsibility, or if it's the school district's responsibility. So your attorney's working on that part of it for us. John has sent gobs, I don't even know, 6 inches stacked probably of more documentation back to the attorney to try to help with it. So we're waiting on his opinion as well to know how to move forward with it. And I know I felt so bad for everybody because after it rained 2 weeks ago, I'm sure those potholes were like gigantic swimming pools. It's horrible. I went over there this weekend to look at it and it really is in bad shape, but we just need to do the right thing for the residents and for the town and for the school district to make sure that like every little bow is tied so everybody knows going forward where the responsibility lies. But I wanted to bring it to your attention because it is something that we thought we had resolved a couple of years ago under Superintendent Scholl, but we aren't finding that final piece of the resolution. And then Mrs. Massey prepared a list of activities for you. There's a separate list on your table next month. There won't be a list really at all because school's out. May 13th, which is tomorrow, Heritage has their awards assembly, but I think we changed the time's not at 1 now, is it? It's at 1:30. And at 14, on the 14th, Territorial has their first and second grade awards because kinder is so heavily attended, they're their own thing.
On Thursday.
On Thursday. And May 21 at Heritage, we would love to have you there. We do our employee and volunteer recognition. This is the first year we're recognizing volunteers. Lasts for about an hour and it comes with a free ice cream sundae at the end. So it's a way for us to recognize people who've had 5 years, 10, 15, who are retiring, things like that. And Nicole said about that Joe Coomer won't be assistant sped director next year because Joe's retiring. And lots of you know her because she's been in the district for a really, really long time.
So what time is that?
So it's at 2 o'clock on May 21, which is only a week from Wednesday, which I can't believe. And then we have May 21 at 7 is our graduation at Finley. I recommend that you arrive about 6:30, drive around to find the loading dock site. Looks like you can't go in there, but you can. Just go up the steps. You'll actually be behind the stage. You just kind of feed your way through the curtains and come on up on stage. And then May 29th at 7:30 is the beginning of our strategic planning day, and we will be done by 2 o'clock. So those are in the next 2 weeks. There's like all kinds of stuff going on, but it's all super fun stuff. So does anybody have any questions?
We normally wear blue.
To graduation?
Yeah, it
Yes.
was not something that like was purpose, but.
I'm really looking for an orange dress.
You
I'm not
are?
even lying.
Oh my
I would like
gosh.
an orange dress.
I have one.
Well, I guess
Oh.
there's gonna be blue and orange. But just so you know, because Marcia told me the first year that she was upset that I didn't tell her we were wearing blue, but we just wore blue. Yeah.
Yes, these are the important decisions of our board. Just
Well,
want
I
y'all
just
to
thought,
know.
I thought you would have to make out on it.
No, it just is what it is.
Second. So I guess you could wear green if you want, but.
I know, I just.
I make a motion that Cindy comments.
Orange.
Orange. No, I don't want to wear orange.
Can I answer anything else for you guys about about any of the things in the report or High Lane or?
I will do my best. I have, that day I have 2 graduations to go to.
Well,
Eighth grade graduation at Franklin.
This will be a fun one. The class of 25 is a phenomenal class. As you saw tonight, every student who spoke tonight was a senior and they're well-spoken and they have a great interest in the school district.
I love
Class of
that.
25,
I love
but
that
me too.
because they didn't have to come here, and they still chose to come. They could be like.
This is a great class. Yeah, this is a great class. Yeah. Yep, they did a fantastic job.
We have a lot to be proud of our seniors.
Absolutely. All right. Moving on. Good. All right. Item 6D is financial reports. Ms. Kennedy.
Very well, here we are. Madam President, members of the board, staff and administration, ladies and gentlemen, just a summary of the financial condition of our main funds at the school district at this point. Our main operating funds, which we use for a lot of salary, a lot of benefits, a lot of purchase services, utilities, et cetera. 19.3 million on that budget at this point, the end of April, April 30th. Expenditures 15.8 million. Revenues follow those expenditures pretty closely. The revenues the district brings in are about 11 million from the state and equalization about 7.5 to 8 million in local property tax. Our operating fund is at this point then, we hope we can increase that with an amendment tonight for our final budget for a slight increase of around 300,000 for some free lunch money. The state is now paying us based on our free lunch ratio. That was 155,000 increase for this year. And another Proposition 301, 151,000. That's on our budget that we look at. So we want to anticipate, hopefully tonight, taking that budget up from 19.3 to 19.6. Last year, our budget ending was just over 20 million. So we are down for a few different reasons. Capital budget slightly down from last year, $1,060,000. We've really worked with staff to deliver everything we need as far as capital. That pays for licenses, for software, pays for textbooks, pays for capital items. 711,000 spent there. Another 114,000 encumbered to get us through the year, which will look at expenses of about 825,000 on a budget of just over 1.50. So about 240,000 to carry forward next year. Those carry forward amounts really hold us accountable, but they give us opportunities for the next year. So that really helps. A couple things with some funds. 691 fund, I just want to focus on for a second. Expenditures year to date, this is all paid by the state, the school facility support project. This year to date, 10,090,000 that we've spent. Most of that is on HVAC installation. We have done extra things. I'd like to just highlight what we might get to if everything is approved. If you look at everything that's coming. Just above us here, we've got a $200,000 project to rebar in and mortar in all these 20 windows in this west gym. If we were here last July, we would have been scrambling because we had water coming in throughout the gym when we had that heavy rain. That's an unfunded project, but we do believe when money hits the state, that 200,000 will be funded. We do have some more buildings in addition to the ones that have met the end of useful life. Superintendent Daniels mentioned another $800,000 bid. We hope to get down to 600,000 to redo the windows in these red brick buildings and the north ag building. Over 1,000 windows were involved. The first bid came in at 800,000. We talked to the folks at the state that are funding this and we said, we think we can do a little better. Some other contractors were hoping to get that down to 600,000, but still that would be if it's paid for by the school facilities. In addition to that, we've got the 4 million for the 10 classrooms that have ended useful life, 4 million for Dr. Luis Del Rio South End administration for air conditioning. We hope that will be funded in July, new money. And then about 7 million weatherize all 4 schools. If you've seen the south end of the high school or even the north end of the high school, you know, they put on a super thick layer of elastomeric. And in those areas, even some of the gym at the high school, the south and north end, that's been done. To do every other building is about another 7 million. Takes us to about 15, 20 million. And we're getting bids right at the moment. If you approve this tonight, for us to issue a bid for some high school fire alarm quotes. And we've already had some meetings here with contractors that we could issue these documents to. They would then work to design a fire alarm and install it and take their plans to capital for approval, rather than us try to get a design team and then a construction team. So that's where we're at in the statement. We had 131,000 last year to put a fire alarm at Del Rio. We're hopeful they can do it for 250, maybe 275,000, but that is a deficiency. Fire alarm not working super well at the high school. So that's a quick look at those 7 projects and a quick look at our financial situation at the end of April. Any other funds or questions for any of those?
No.
Okay.
Student activity report?
Student activity, I thought I would mention 2 things with student activity. We have the highest fundraiser group is high school student council, over 13,000 year to date. And the highest expense group, high school band, $3,700 expensed by one of our student activity groups. And all I hear about the band at the high school is that the teacher is rocking it. And we talked to her about the stuff she's doing. She's holding her own fundraisers. She's extremely proud of her program, and you can tell when she turns her inventory in and there's 400 items on the inventory. She knows where every one of her oboes is, one of her bass guitars is. So I think the community, really supports everything at the high school band. That's really all I have.
That's great. Thank you. Anything from Mr. Livingston? Okay, fellow board members, I do apologize, but I have another obligation I have to go to, so Vice President Martinson is going to take over for me. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption. Thank you. Okay.
If you want to.
We're gonna move along to a consent agenda. And I will need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Oh, second? I will second. All in favor? All right, moving along to the increase in cost of monthly tuition.
Board members and staff and visitors. Sia is in charge of CASA and has ever asked me to request, because of increasing costs that we're all dealing with, to increase CASA, the monthly tuition fee, for $10. And that would be, and CASA is our Chino After School Advantage program. And this would raise a standard monthly tuition from $220 to $230. And then we have a discounted rate for our employee students from $145 to $155. And there will be no increase to the actual student enrollment fees that they take out. And so that she's requesting that to help keep up with costs.
And is that 4 days a week, the CASA, and then what time does it go till?
To 6 o'clock.
Do you think that that's a fair number?
Yes, I think it's a very fair number
Okay.
for a month, for $10 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. That's very fair.
Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions?
No, I can understand the increase.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is there like any scholarship programs or anything for lower income students?
She does work with getting vouchers from, and I forget.
DES.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so people can use DES vouchers, and our homeless students, we have funds to help cover the cost for homeless students that may be in our after-school program as well.
Oh, okay, great. So parents are already.
That's okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Yep.
It's
a great question.
Okay, I will need a motion.
I will move to approve the 25-26 increase of the CASA monthly tuition fee by $10 for each student.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, moving along.
Yes, so as we've been working in HR on job descriptions and evaluation tools, my esteemed colleague, Mrs. Bryce, helped me with the Dean of Students evaluation tool.
Tonight we escalated you to esteemed.
She is esteemed.
Can you remember that, please?
So what she did is she took the job description and then came up with a dean of students evaluation. We're working on other ones that you'll see next month. So that they really, the ones that we had before really did not pertain to the job. They're very generic. So we went in, we're working on making sure that the evaluation tool for our employees meet with the job description and what they're actually doing. So we're asking you to approve this job evaluation tool.
Looks good to me. Anybody have a question?
I'll make that motion. By you, Rory.
We are.
The motion for ID. Okay, I'll make the motion that we approve the CVUSD Dean of Students Evaluation.
All right, in a second.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to Mrs. Cox.
Sorry, Annie. This is not because of you.
Are we increasing it again?
We are. So, good evening, board. I come to you tonight because I was very optimistic, thinking $10 would meet our budget for next year by raising it by $10. I can't look at Annie now that she's here. But because John Livingston is so into every little detail, he pointed out that is not going to cover it. And because we've lost key grants is really the reason that we do need to raise it. And to make it work, we're raising it to $250 a month, which is a $45 increase, but it's to keep the staff, that we have and to keep a successful program running, but also to stay revenue neutral in our program.
Our neighboring districts were charging more for fewer hours.
So we're still cheaper than the neighboring districts,
I
but
know, I gave her
we're
such a
better.
hard time when she came to me with the $10 increase.
I
She
know you
did, I would.
She asked me, she's like, how's this gonna go? I'm like,
I said, is Annie gonna be there?
It's my kid. My kid coming here, she's like, I think we'll increase it.
So but it keeps amazing staff in there and it keeps us revenue neutral because what is required from the state is only to offer preschool for our special needs children. So this is the tuition based to
And
have.
those special needs children don't have to pay.
They do not.
To get the funding.
Some funding.
we get about 60% compared to the cost for special needs.
So this is for typical children.
Yes.
And
This is our peer role models.
Child was not typical.
If it was my older kids, I could see why we'd increase it.
So that is our proposal to raise it. We think that will be, we talked about doing it monthly increments and that's just too much. So we're just gonna raise it one flat fee for the year and hopefully John doesn't come back to my office.
So this
and
is
wanna talk.
$250 a month.
Yes, 4 days a week for 3.5 hours a day.
And they have to refund.
I'm doing that for you.
Yeah, I work for Head Start. I know to know that too. Got it. Okay, I would need to make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that we raise, that it is increased from 205 to 250 per month starting next year, with the exception of your child.
All in favor? I'll give it a second, please. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you. Sorry, Annie, but thank you.
All right. Personnel report with the supplement, correct?
Yes, with the supplement.
Any questions? I actually have a question. Okay. Number 10.
On the supplement or
No,
the,
in the packet. Brandy.
Yes,
Yeah, she's leaving us.
we had an opportunity to make $3 more an hour.
Oh. Oh, yes, I'm like, bummer. I was really hoping that one of my kids would get to be with her.
I tried really hard, but it's more money.
All right, so we are looking at, with our supplement, we have 6 new certified employees, 3 new classified employees, 1 new classified substitute, 5 resignations, 1 termination, 6 certified changes, 6 classified changes, 1 extra duty, and 141 timesheets.
All right, any questions? No? What do you do?
I move to approve the
With the
personnel report.
supplement, yep.
And, yeah. with the supplement.
Yep, okay. Second,
I will
all
say.
right, all in favor?
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mrs. Bryce.
Oh, my esteemed colleague.
I have Mr. Livingston before me. You didn't say her title, so she didn't know it was her. All right, I can go before Mr. Livingston.
Good evening, Madam Vice President and members of the board. I'm in front of you today, Inger and Beverly. We're on my math committee. So we've been looking at K-8 math curriculum. I've been looking at it since November, but the staff has been looking at it since January. We looked at the platforms. We looked at 6 different companies. We looked at platforms. And then I held a curriculum fair, if you will, for a week, and where they came in after school and previewed it. And I was really pleased with the turnout. I was really worried I wouldn't have anyone that week. I had 46 people. And so I was really, really excited to have that many people. And then we met for a long day for 6 presentations. And after the presentations and looking at all the rubrics, the committee has chosen Amplify and iReady to pilot for the fall. So I'm here asking your permission to pilot iReady, and we'll pilot iReady the first 7 weeks of the fall semester, and then we'll do pilot Amplify for 7 weeks. We'll come together right before Thanksgiving, maybe when we come back from Thanksgiving, and make a decision. And I'll be back in December asking for approval on whatever curriculum has been decided on. So you can see there I had 14 teachers, 2 SPED teachers, 1 EL teacher, a high school teacher, 3 administrators, 3 instructional coaches, and 2 board members, 5 parents. Boy, this thing is bad. 5 parents and the district IT. Yeah, we need a new one.
I think it's the floor.
So anyway, sorry for a squirrel. Thank you.
Move back to its normal location.
Thank you, Justine. I appreciate that. So anyway, I'm here to ask for your approval. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, is this basic math or algebra or?
It's K-8 math, so basic math. No algebra.
Okay, I just want to say, Julie, when we went through this, thank you guys so much for answering all of our questions and going over.
Thank you,
I'll make the motion.
Yes.
I'm gonna pause for just 1 second to make sure we answer Marcia's question. 8th grade algebra book is, we teach 8th grade algebra for high school credit. So we use the high school algebra book for algebra in the 8th grade.
So it's K-8 general math.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because I took algebra in elementary level school, so I just wanted to make,
So there are algebra standards that start in kindergarten. Brandon can attest to that. So algebra standards actually start in kindergarten. So all the algebra standards and instruction is woven through all the general curriculum, but Algebra 1 as a standalone uses the high school book.
Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that for myself.
I have a comment, and I just wanted to say thank you to Julie for spearheading the organization of this. I could tell it was a tremendous organizational feat to put everything together, to put all the studies together, to gather the different people, the different stakeholders, and really get into the specifics of K through 8, be able to observe the books and then get feedback from everybody. it was a tremendous job.
Thank you.
And I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I learned a tremendous amount. I don't know how much I contributed to it, but I agree, and I very much approve of this. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's why she's
I was about to like, Steve.
Any questions or?
I'll make a motion for the recommendation to pilot the K through 8 math curriculum with iReady and Amplifying.
In a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, ladies.
Okay, moving along, Mr. Livingston, back to you.
Okay, Madam Vice President, members of the board, Superintendent. So this is our last chance then to revise our budget. It has to be done by the 15th of May for the current year. Just a couple things to bring out, because the term I'd like to hit just a little bit. If you can turn to your big landscape pages, and it's on page, I believe it's page, and you're there. I believe it's page 3. There's pages that are blank that don't have a page number on them, but if you can kind of fast forward to page 3.
Can you show what it looks like?
Yeah, it's got this funky little chart on the top. It's a
Oh, okay.
landscaped Excel. You've heard us talk about this, this fund 010. It's called Classroom Site Fund. I'm just so impressed that the state has had the foresight to set aside these funds for teachers and related services that some other folks other than teachers sometimes share. And what I wanted to bring up is if you go down to the box on number 10 there, you see a number and it's called limit. 3.06 million. That's what our limit was last year. Now, we didn't have the cash to spend that, and we didn't have the revenue coming in to spend that, and we didn't have it in people's contracts to spend that. We spent just over 2 million, like 2,040,000. So you can see, well, actually, it's going to be more than 2 million this year. It was 1,834,000. I'm just kind of talking and looking. So that's what we spent. So that means we got to carry forward that 1,232,000. Really powerful that we could carry that forward into the 25 year, the current year. Plus we got the 40,362 of interest. So we really watched this fund. And when we started this in the year 2000, the state could never bring in $270 per student. That's 0.6% of the sales tax. They never could hit it. So districts would budget as if they did and then spend as if they did, but they went into the red. So now we're to the point we're at over 700 per student coming in. So it's just really a real benefit to the district. And we've really started to lean pretty heavily on that for teacher compensation, which gives our operating fund a little break. If we didn't have this fund, it would be very difficult to be competitive for teacher salaries. So that's just a quick look. If we take a look further down then on page 10, I'd just like to draw a little attention to what you heard from Superintendent Daniels. And page 10, you're going to see some columns there. And go down a little bit.
Is it this one?
Yes, yeah, page 10. I think I got a number in the lower right.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody got a page with that number on it. Hopefully, yeah. So if you come down about 1.5 inches, you're going to see a column that says average daily membership. And that you could kind of say is full-time enrollment, so to speak. That's been adjusted a little bit for some populations. But you see in the 23 year, 2253. That meant we had almost 2,400 seats and students in seats. Last year, 24, down 21 to 2170, about an 80 student drop. And then this year, our last report, as of the 18th of April, 2070. So a full 100 down.
Can you remind them the difference between ADM and actual humans because of kinder and preschool?
So my understanding is if you have 100 typical kindergarten students that are funded at half day, your count here will go up by 50. Whereas if you have 100 typical high school students and they're here taking enough classes to be counted as full-time, your ADM will go up 100. So there's no deduction.
So yeah, kindergarten and preschool, we only get half ADM for, so ADM it's always less than the actual number of students enrolled because kindergarten and preschool are only half.
So I suppose high school districts, there are a few high school districts only in the state. They come a lot closer to heads in seats, so to speak. and ADM, because usually those students are full-time high school students. Of course, some aren't, some are there for half a semester, but, so that's where we're at. So even with those numbers, we've been able to maintain our counts because we've had some carry forwards from prior years. So the number, if you go back to page, well, even on that page, you can see I'm right below those counts. Budgeted expenditures and budget limits. And that's the way the state does it. You have a limit, you can't spend beyond that. Your expenditures then should be budgeted in your line items to that limit. 19,600,000, 19,598 for M&O, 3.4 million for classroom site, and 1,029,000 for our capital. And that's right in that chart. So if you approve this tonight, I'll be coming around to have you sign, Vice President, Madam Chairman, Ms. Morton, right here, President of the Governing Board, at the top of page 10, and then I'll ask you all to sign my copy on it. And any questions, all the other funds have estimates for revenue, estimates for expenditures. This is just our final chance to raise our, the little sheet at the very end of everything here is a little one of those sheets like this. This gives you the final numbers from the Department of Ed based on everything that goes into this 15-page budget. That's what they're saying. It's got some carryover numbers. It's got some 1 + 2 + 3 equal stuff. And their numbers equal ours to the penny for M&O and for capital and everything else. We just do the best we can.
I know I've said this before, Mr. Livingston, but we are really lucky to have you. You
Well,
do a fantastic job.
I wish I could speak tonight, so thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
His allergies have got the best
Yeah.
of him.
You don't have your fan tonight?
No, I should have a fan.
All right, any questions?
This doesn't count what we need to do with buildings. That's a separate account.
Yeah, that's on Fund 691. And we do refer to that. There is a page that refers to that. But that's all, again, us getting on our one knee or two knees, whatever, and letting the state know our needs. We send in applications. Sometimes they remove them. For some reason, Heritage Middle School didn't get their $25,000 for the carpet. Every other school got, every other school got $25,000 for the carpet replacement, 2 or 3 classrooms. So we're still,
We're still working on it.
Yeah.
Who I fussed it.
so it's not a foolproof method, but if they know our needs and it's a deficiency, they will try to fix it. So that's the 691 fund, doesn't really touch it.
That's fine. I just wanted to
Yep.
clarify that for myself too.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Livingston? All right, I'll need somebody to make a motion for the approval.
I'll move to approve policies BA as presented.
I'll second it.
Oh,
Very good.
I'm in the wrong one. I knew, I thought that. I go, that's not the right one. Did you want me?
Item 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will move to approve the third revision of the 24-25 expenditure budget. Final FY25 budget was determined as at least April 17th, 25. I don't think I had to read that, but that's okay.
All right, in a second,
I'll make that.
all in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, moving right along. Okay.
It's the next one.
Okie dokie. So we have a second reading of policies that you had last month. And I'll entertain any questions you had about policies, or if there are any that you would like removed from the approval process. You have just the short list in your packet, and those were primarily tidying up to meet changes in statutes, modernize and make wording consistent, or remove redundant policies. Yes, ma'am, from last month, yeah.
All right, any questions? Nope, we've been over this. We'll ask for a motion for the approval.
Okay, I'll make that motion unless Ingrid wants to. That would make one. But I'll make the motion that we did do the second reading of the advisories, 819, policy BA, 862, policy K, policy BKA.
No, we just need to do.
You just need to approve the action requested.
Is BA through BKA. Yeah.
Okay.
One I read on through BK.
There you go. I don't have to read everything.
Right. Hold me just a second, please.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Back to you, Ms. Daniel.
Okay, so I am respectfully requesting that we change the date of our June board meeting from the 9th into the 16th to accommodate Mr. Livingston. Just kidding. The Auditor General hasn't released the forms for next year's budget yet. We received notice today that they hope to have them out in early June, but this allows Mr. Livingston to prepare the proposed budget for the board using all the correct forms. This happened last year as well. So we always just wait and see if they'll get the forms out in time, but if that's agreeable to the board members, we respectfully request moving the meeting to June 16th.
June 16th. Okay. Are we ready to go? Okay. We need to make a motion for that too, right? Can somebody please make a motion for the approval of the change of the date? I will move to approve the change of the date of the next board meeting from June 9th to June 16th. Second. All in favor? All right. Mr. Fulmer. Larry, you don't get to come in front of us very often.
I know.
Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Vice President, members of the board. I come to you tonight as a representative of the Superintendent's Employee Advisory Council, SEAC, we go by. What you have in front of you is a proposed first reading of a revision to policy GCCA, which is our leave policy. This kind of began as a subcommittee within SEAC. It kind of exploded a little bit into some minor tweaks, into some major revisions that soon involved the Human Resources Department, Heidi and Shelley. The original committee was myself, Dr. Moody, Jenny Tidbirch, and Paul Robitaille. And so it kind of got a little crazy, but this is a good crazy. And so some of the highlights that I would like to point out, we tried to simplify it. Instead of calling it undifferentiated leave, we're just calling it leave. We're trying to make it easier for the employees to use it, take out some of the loopholes that have been kind of built in. We're also asking for the maximum amount of leave to actually go back up to 960 hours. A few years ago, we requested to drop it. It did not have the impact that we hoped, and so we're requesting that goes back. We also have a different scale now for leave payback, we're calling it. Instead of it being a flat 40% for everybody, it is a scale based on continuous years of service with the district. Anybody who is a current employee now will stay at the 40% even if they would drop, but anybody new would be impacted by this scale. And it also could elevate some people's leave buyback or payback if they've been here quite a while. But I think you'll see on the scale it's quite a bit. I also do want to point out that the term blackout dates, Dr. Moody, he insisted in being there. So, do you have any, I know there's a first reading, but do you have any questions on this? And I know we'll be back next month for the actual.
So my math isn't too good tonight. How many days is 960 hours?
And that's not new leave. That allows people to accumulate.
Oh,
into
I
that
see.
many.
Yes, that's a maximum accumulation.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you don't
It's
use
not
it,
new
it carries forward.
All right.
Every July 1st leave is built based on how many months you work.
And it's-
Your FTE.
It's different for every employee, the number of days it equates, because not everybody works a 10-hour day. Some people work a 7-hour day, or so 900, so that many hours would be,
Yeah.
well, we don't pay off days, we pay off hours.
Full-time 12 months would work, typically earn 96 a year. A full-time
10
10
years
would be
worth of
80 a year.
If people didn't use leave for 10 whole years in
Yes.
a row.
I have read this like 5 and 6 and 8 times, kind of, you know,
Feel their
because of,
pain?
yeah, kind of.
It's-
But I wish in a way we could take a part of this and we can do some more research. So every 30 hours that an employee works, the way I read it, maybe I'm wrong, they get one.
That's for people that are like
Please.
on a contract or work agreement.
Without a
It's
contract or
not- it's
otherwise.
not- Yeah.
Not a teacher.
Yeah.
Somewhere in here though, I think I read something about like every 30 hours. that they
Yes,
work,
it's
they
in the
get one
very, it's on the first page.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
employees without a contract
Without
or
a
work
contract
agreement,
or with
the
work
leave
agreement.
allowance will be 1 hour per 30 hours.
So several years ago, under the Obama administration, leave and benefits were changed So if an employee averages 30 hours a week for 20 weeks a year, then they're entitled to benefits. So like, let's say somebody was a substitute paraprofessional, for example. Then if they average 30 hours a week for 20 weeks a year, under federal law, they're entitled to benefits. And so, which would mean health insurance and access to leave. So that's what that refers to.
Yeah, and we're using the word employees, that's not teachers, they're not classified under employees in the DIS.
So we have several classifications of employees. So we have like that kind, like the classified substitutes or temporary employees. Sometimes it could be like temporary, like someone that does temporary summer custodial work, for example. We have our.
I'm just saying it doesn't really spell it out, it just says for employees, so just reading this the way it's written.
It does, without a contract or work agreement. So it's temporary, so it's employees without a contract or work agreement. So not a classified employee who has a work agreement, not a certified employee who has a contract. So it's all the other people from when the law changed under the Obama administration.
Like substitutes as well.
Not substitute teachers, because we contract through a third party, so classified subs or temporary employees.
And this is not an approval item.
And that's federal law too. So, but yeah, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
This is the first reading,
This
so
is
we'll
just
have to come back. next
Oh,
month.
okay, perfect.
So there's time to
That was the
go over.
action item.
Now, if you want to pull it out and keep it up, so you can give Heidi and Shelley a call and HR, Larry a call, any of them, Larry chaired the committee, they would be happy. They would be happy.
I will be calling you guys. Can I get
And
your
I
cell phone
appreciate
numbers?
Superintendent Daniels for a lot, we always have to make sure that she's on board with this. And some of these changes we've been trying to make for a few years, and was very glad that she was willing to talk about this, and we were able to come to this.
And Larry, is it safe to say that the change that you guys are recommending in the buyback is to encourage people not to use their leave and to encourage them to stay with the district?
Yes.
Because we have people who our average term of employment is under 3 years. And they tend to either burn all their leave or have a leave payout, even though there's no longevity. And so I believe that this was constructed to, and Jenny could tell you that, to be beneficial for people who are loyal to the district and who don't use their leave.
All right,
Cell
again,
phone numbers.
this is not a action item. Very good, thank you. Okay, moving along, our last.
Madam President, I would like to move to table this agenda item
Okay,
till our June 16th agenda.
okay. All right, so can somebody please make, do we need a
I think we
motion or
just
we can
agree to
say it?
table it.
All right, we agree to table this item till our June 16th meeting.
I second that.
Right, with that said, that's it.
Good job.
Sorry, Susie.
Thank you.